with Call of Duty Black Ops 2, one of the goals that we had was we wanted to introduce story branching into the campaign. It's something that that was a goal of ours, but also I think is something that players are going to be really excited about. You know, we've delivered a lot of really, you know, epic and cinematic storytelling experience, but never one where choice was an element in how it would play out. And so this will play out in different ways throughout the campaign. So I'll bring you through each one.
Okay.
On a structural level, there'll be parts of the campaign that you'll have a choice in, and those are going to be introduced. Those are unique missions called Strike Force levels, where you have a choice of which level you want to play. And these are going to be the proxy wars that are occurring in the year 2025 during that Cold War. JSOC will come to you. You'll be a Black Ops team, and they'll say, "Look, there's these, you know, there's these hotspots in the world, and we need you to choose which one you're going to insert your team into." You'll make a choice, straight up, straight out, non-linear inside the campaign. But you can succeed or fail in those missions, and the story will move forward, which is entirely new, which will affect the outcome of that Cold War in the year 2025. Now, that's just one small example of it. There's going to be situations inside the campaign where, in true Call of Duty fashion, you're going to come upon a situation, except it's clearly going to be a choice event. And we're not going to put up A or B in front of you and stop the game and everything else. It's going to be Call of Duty. It's like, you're going to make a choice, and if you don't make a choice, then you know, time is still going to play out in real time, and you'll deal with the consequences. Sometimes those consequences of the choice are going to be evident to you immediately, and sometimes the consequences aren't going to be fully understood until later, as in much like you would have in other storytelling or even in our own lives, right? So we're really excited about having branching storylines. Now, how this will play out is, well, it might have an effect on things that you might or might not experience, or events that you may or may not experience, or in the case of Strike Force levels, missions that you may or may not experience if you win or lose. At the end of the game, there'll be multiple endings based on the choices that you've made. And I think it will be, you know, evident at that time that, oh, I made this choice, this is the net effect, you know, of and the ripple implication potentially of that decision. And then of course if players want to go back and see how things might have been different for either the character or the characters that you play with, or what's going on with the villain, or the story arc of the Cold War and the tension that's occurring in that time frame. So there's really multiple. Think of it like there's not a single story, but right, there's a world that we're creating, and things are going on in that world, and things that you're doing can have an impact on that. Wow. Now, I think it's important to note that we're making a shooter and not an RPG, so it's not. But the fact that there is branching storylines and that there's depth and complexity in the narrative is something that we really wanted to be able to introduce, so that it wasn't just a linear narrative for Black Ops 2. It was important for us that while we wanted to create a new setting, we wanted also, as a sequel, we wanted to be able to play the characters that you played with in Black Ops 1 that you know, Mason, Woods, and Hudson. So the way we do this is, and I didn't go into this in the presentation, but at the beginning of the game, you're playing as David Mason in the year 2025. And without getting too much into fiction, you're in a place called the Vault. You go to a place called the Vault, which is where the CIA, and you know this from the movie, but what's happening there is you're going there to go visit an old man Woods, because you need to learn about Raul Menendez, who you're on the hunt for, and you're trying to unravel the situation. And you find out that Woods and your father, Alex Mason, knew Raul Menendez from back in the 80s. And so the game, we tell a lot of the game's narrative through Old Man Woods. That's how we tell that 1980s first Cold War. And so Woods says, you know, yeah, your father and I knew Menendez. We met him a long time ago. And then you go through those Black Ops missions. And as you know, the Cold War there was a lot, in the 80s, there was a lot of Black Ops going on there. And so that's where you'll also meet our villain for the first time. Okay. You'll understand and see the events that shape this character, this three-dimensional character that we then also are on the hunt for and dealing with in the year 2025. So in the year 2025, we're not getting into all of the depth with it, but there is a Cold War that's going on between the U.S. and China at that point in time. There is a natural tension in the world. Both sides are vying for interest, and what is happening is the game is not so much centered. Now that Cold War is going on in the world between China and the U.S. What's going on is underneath it all, you've got a villain, Raul Menendez, who's leveraging the fact that there is a Cold War between the United States and Russia, and he's stoking the fires of it and leveraging that situation for his own means and his own ends.
Okay.
And he's not on either side. Yeah, so it's really important. So our Strike Force levels will all have unique objectives. I think that the thing that people should be taking away from them is that they're nonlinear sandbox missions that that have the goal of being accessible but having depth and replayability. If you want to play a Strike Force level with your weapon in hand and boots on the ground, you can do that. You don't have to take over anything else. Accessible but depth and replayability. I think a lot of players, especially veterans of the franchise who played a lot of it, will take advantage of the fact that it's a sandbox level and that they can take over any of the toys on the battlefield and play with them. Or they can play the general on the battlefield in Overwatch mode and basically command the situation, get a setup that they like, and then move down and take over either one of the members of the squad or one of the drones. I think what will happen is if you are a fan of game mechanics and gameplay and replayability, you're going to go and you're going to play that, and then you're going to realize you could have played that thing totally differently and then want to go back and replay it a different way. And I think it's a great sandbox level that allows you to play with all different mechanics, allows you to replay it different. You can even play it at different. So now when you've got a campaign where you can play it at different levels of difficulty, imagine now having Strike Force levels at different levels of difficulty in terms of the challenge that it presents and the value that it provides to the player. So I think it's going to be a great new experience for people who've played a lot of Call of Duty.
I was just going to say, are those only going to be single player, or are they going to have any cooperative elements, any multiplayer elements there?
Yes, that's a great question. Strike Force levels are being exclusively developed for the campaign.
Okay.
It's an exciting new level, specifically the campaign. It's tightly woven into the campaign structure and inside the story, because it affects the outcome of those levels affects the how the Cold War is playing out, right. Which of course we're not going to reveal to you here, because that's part of why you're playing the game.
Yeah.
So Black Ops is its own fiction. When we're creating the creative for Black Ops, we literally assume that you, the player, are here in the year 2012, and everything that happened in the past, you come to the table with everything you know about history, or not, but everything that happened in the past happened, and what we're doing is we're creating our fiction inside that historical past. And in fact, these are the missions that you don't know about, right? These are the fiction that we're creating. And so when we're projecting out to the future, it's its own fiction. And so we're assuming you're here in 2012, which is why we're meeting with experts on near future, on robotics and drone warfare. It's the reason why we bring in consultants like Peter Singer, who can help us, because we want to create that sort of plausible fictional scenario out there, which doesn't exist yet. So, it's its own fiction, it's its own timeline, it's its own story. Black Ops is its own narrative fiction inside the Call of Duty franchise. Well, it wouldn't be an Easter egg if I gave you a hint as to what it was, but what I can tell you is that it's clearly a part of Treyarch's DNA to have Easter eggs in the game. And what our very creative artists, designers, and engineers and audio designers do in the dark of night while they're working as extra inspiration for the game. I can't tell you about right now, but I can tell you it happens, and it happens sometimes on a fairly regular basis. We love to surprise the fans with stuff. We know that that they enjoy looking for this stuff. So if you're a fan of having Easter eggs and games, and you enjoy, for example, I mean, our Zombies fans are all about it. They spend a lot of time. Matter of fact, when we release new Zombies content, it's always exciting to see, they're always the first to the table. They put out the videos and everything else. That sort of two-way interaction, I mean, I think it's characteristic and unique of our medium. It's like we're actually able to communicate with our consumer, with our fans, and get that sort of, that reaction. So anyways, we love it. It's part of our DNA. You can expect it, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it. There's nothing you can do that's going to change that. Yeah, those are all great questions. If you're a PC fan, what I want to tell you is we have a PC team that's dedicated to creating the PC version. We have since World at War. We did it in World at War. We did it on Black Ops. Same on Black Ops 2. Many of the team members are the same members. So we are, if you have, we have re-engineered our engine so that it takes advantage of the efficiencies that DX11 provides. We've worked on our graphics system. The game looks phenomenal on the PC. It's important to us. We've been working on our anti-cheat systems, proprietary anti-cheat systems. We really want to protect the integrity of the experience that people have online, and so we're not only relying on systems that are already existing out there in the world, but really taking a lot of learning in from just what's going on out in the world and coming up with our own mechanisms to help protect that integrity. We're really excited about the PC version. We have a Twitter account with PC Dev who speaks out to the PC community. You can expect a lot more of that as we get into the development. So definitely stay tuned, and we're looking forward to a great PC launch with Black Ops 2.